My son complains that his new stepmom is becoming overly involved in his life. How do I get her to stop? My son will be a senior in high school this fall, and we have been touring colleges. We toured a few this spring and plan to tour several out-of-state ones throughout the summer. The plan was for myself, my husband, and my son's father to do the tours together. We'll be touring 4 schools, and he's coming to 3 of them. My son's father and I split up before our son was 6 months old. Soon after our relationship ended, I met my now husband, and we got married when my son was 3. My ex has been supportive of our relationship and thinks my husband is a great stepfather. Our co-parenting relationship has been challenging at times, but we've done just fine for the sake of our son. Last year, my ex eloped with this woman named Shelley. They dated for only a year or so before marrying. I don't know her too well since we've only met twice, but I know she has 3 kids of her own. Her oldest is about the same age as my son. My son dislikes her. He thinks Shelley is mentally unhinged and is way too involved in his personal business. And he blames her for being the reason he hasn't been able to spend as much quality time with his father lately. Earlier this week, I was coordinating with my ex about the details of our next tour. Everything was great until he mentioned that Shelley would be coming along on all our tours. I asked why and if it was really necessary that she tag along. He said that she just wanted to be supportive. I asked him if her daughter was looking at these schools too since she's also going to be a senior, and he said no. So, why is she coming if her own child isn't planning on attending those schools? I told him that our son should get a say in who comes to the tours and that I would ask him what he thought about Shelley joining us. After I got off the phone with my ex, I asked our son if he wanted Shelley to join us. He immediately replied, no, and that he wasn't comfortable with her coming. I told our son that he should speak with his father and let him know what he thinks. Fast forward to last night. My ex calls and is furious that I would get our son involved in this matter. I replied that our son is the one touring the colleges and making decisions about his future, and he gets to decide who can come along. Not to mention, our son is almost an adult. And at his age, he is more than capable of deciding who he wants in his life and to what extent. My son has been vocal to his father about his feelings about Shelley. He accepts that his father loves her, but he doesn't see her as family. So, I told my ex that if he loves his son and wants to continue having a positive relationship with him, then he needs to respect his wishes and leave his wife at home. End of story. Ex replies that I'm spiteful, Shelley cares about our son, and that he should be allowed to bring his wife with him whenever he chooses. Was I wrong to get involved? I talked to my son late last night about his father being upset about him not wanting Shelley to come along. I told him that I fully respected his choice and reminded him that he could share this experience with whomever he wanted. I encouraged him to talk to his dad again and explain his feelings about the situation. I let him know that I was happy to step in if he needed me. I also added that if he ultimately decided that he wanted to go on these tours alone or with just one parent to avoid drama, which, in my opinion, might be the best option, that would be okay too. It's his tour, and he gets to decide. So, he called his dad this morning and calmly told him that he didn't want Shelley coming along on any of the tours and explained his reasons, which mainly included needing time with his dad sans Shelley and him not wanting an entourage accompanying him on his tours. 5 is a crowd, Dad. This time, my ex was more receptive and told our son that he respected his feelings, but then he put his son on the spot and told him he should talk to Shelley directly about her not coming. He was not comfortable with that and requested that I step in and talk to both his dad and Shelley. So, I got on the phone and repeated that this was our son's decision. I didn't say anything about my son disliking Shelley or feeling uncomfortable around her because that is beside the point. Shelley was clearly disappointed and said she understood and only wanted an opportunity to bond with her new stepson. I replied that it was sweet of her to want to get to know him better, but a college tour isn't the time or place. Overall, she seemed to be okay with it. We spoke for another minute or two before she left the conversation. I reiterated to him that ever since Shelley came into the picture, our son feels like he doesn't get as much quality time with his dad anymore because either she's there during their time together or he's busy being a stepfather to her kids. I also explained to him that if Shelley's not coming was going to be this big of a deal to him, then he shouldn't come either. He said he understood where I was coming from and apologized for our misunderstanding. I asked him if it was Shelley who was pushing this issue or if it was him. Based on his response, I got the sense that Shelley expressed an interest in going and was okay not going if that was really his decision. I suppose my ex just really wants her to feel more like a part of his family, so it's a mix of him appeasing her but also wanting his son to get to know her better. So, I gave him 2 choices. Either he comes without Shelley and uses this opportunity to have special time with his son, or he doesn't come to the tours and we find a weekend for him and his son to spend time one-on-one. Either way, Shelley isn't going to be there because our son isn't interested in a relationship with her right now, and he shouldn't force it on him. He said he'd think about his choices. So, all is well there. I hope he decides to leave Shelley at home and come on whatever tours he can, because I know how important it is to our son.